Hi everybody, I'm Chef Ben Bebenroth. Today we are going to make Maitake mushroom risotto out in the field using the nCamp prep surface, the nCamp burner, and the nCamp folding food prep knife. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut up this onion. The nice thing about cooking outside, on-site composting. Am I right? We're going to take an onion. For 2 people, we only need half of it. We are going to brunoise said onion, which would be nearly impossible with a folding pocket knife. You need a nice wide blade to do that. Brunoise is like a fine dice. You can see how easily this knife is used, and it handles really well for this task. Again, this is a traditional chef cutting technique. I'm just drifting this knife straight down through this onion. I've got this really nice even dice here. I love this folding prep surface because you can get a dish under it to scoop your product off. Really ideal. We're going to do the same thing with a carrot. We'll save the tops because they're edible and we're going to use them for garnish. Look at that. Right through. So we're going to quarter this carrot. I mean, can you imagine having cuts like this with a pocket knife for this task? It'd be very messy. All right. Now, we're going to clean up our Maitake mushrooms. Maitake is a wild mushroom, grows at the base of oak trees in this region. So Maitake can have really, really large petals like this, really, really tight petals like this. This is about a medium-sized one. So when you're working with a mushroom like this, I like to cut it in half first. You can see it's kind of dirty down by the base, but not really up around the top so much. So we're just going to use this and carve around the outside. Okay. Now we've got these nice, clean mushroom petals that we're going to saute in our pan. Now the center of this mushroom is also very edible as well, but for this risotto dish, it's easiest to just use the edges, right? Look what a cool pattern that is. So you see the inside there? I'm just going to kind of drift along there with the food prep knife and get all the outside of this mushroom cut up nice and fine. Obviously, a little bit of our knife work was pretty simple. Some of it was a little complex. So we've got some of these Maitakes, and let's make sure to get a good close-up of how we're cutting these away from the base stem. So we got this little cluster here, using our nCamp knife and just cutting the core away. And then, so we have these nice little mushroom pieces here. So you can see these bigger chunks that we need to cook evenly. Get them nice and chopped up small. This nice little tight cluster. And use this knife, carve around the edge of that mushroom. Kind of taking the core out of it. And then we've got these really nice flaky leaves here. All right, we need a little bit of herbs. And we're going to save some, obviously, for some garnish. But we want to get these herbs kind of beat up a little bit. So I'm just pulling them off the stem. And we're going to rough them up with the knife a bit. This lets that flavor come out a little bit. And then I like to use the side of the blade and kind of smash it around. Once again, nearly impossible with a pocket knife. Okay. And we're going to save our parsley leaves for mostly garnish at the end. But we're going to chop up a little bit of the stem here. Alright, so we got ourselves a hot pan here. We're going to throw in a little dot of butter. And traditionally when you're making risotto, you would start with the onion, but I want to start with the mushrooms so that I can get it nice and browned up. I like to use my nCamp food prep knife because I can scoop and move over to my cooking surface. So while our mushrooms are sauteing, we want to get them just a little bit browned. To make a good risotto, you'll need Arborio rice. You'll need hot stock or water, which you can see on the nCamp burner here. We've got the water almost to a boil, and we really cannot make risotto with cold water. You've got to have hot water to do it. All right, so we've got our mushrooms browned. We're going to add our onion and our carrots. And at this time, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of salt. That's going to help our veggies sweat out. And some grinds of pepper. And now our herbs that we chopped up, we're going to just throw these in now for sauteing. And then we'll garnish at the end with a little bit more herbs. Keep it bright. Okay, so we've got our veggies sweating down here. I'm going to throw a little bit extra butter into the pan. And now it's time to add our rice. So I don't really use exact measurements with this, though you will see exact measurements in your recipe. This rice about triples in volume from whatever you put in the pan dry to when it's fully cooked. Now we're going to stir this Arborio rice around a little bit and get it nice and toasty with our vegetables and all the fat that we just added to that pan. And as soon as we get it nice and coated, we're going to deglaze the pan with some wine. You don't have to use the wine, but I highly recommend it. All right, so as you can see, we've got a really, really hot pan here. We want to cook off all that wine until what we call au sec, which means almost dry. We want to get all that alcohol out of there, and then we're just going to be left with the sweetness of the wine behind. Then we'll add our stock or our water. Okay, so this is what I would consider au sec. You can no longer have wine pouring off of your vegetables and rice. All right, let's add our boiling water. Woo! That is hot stuff. I just so happen to have 2 bay leaves in my back pocket. All right, the lovely part about making risotto is it is pretty much a one-pot meal. By the time all this water is absorbed, it should be fully cooked. If it's not, we're going to throw a little bit of extra water on this boil pot just to make sure. That way, if our rice is still a little too al dente, we can add a little bit more water and let it continue to cook. Another important thing about making risotto is do not store it with a metal spoon. Now granted, if you're in the backcountry, all you have is a titanium spoon, fine. But when you're making risotto, you want to use a wooden spoon or a rubber spatula. A metal spoon breaks the grains and it makes it too starchy. So as you can see, our risotto is really, really close to done. We want to take a little taste of it to make sure that the grains of rice are fully absorbing the water. Really close. Add just a little bit more water. Now, I'm a firm believer that risotto should always pool. It should flow, all right? So I also tasted this, and it's a little light on salt, but the way that we make risotto, fully seasoned, Parmesan cheese to season and tighten, butter to loosen. So we're going to finish this with a good punch of butter and about, I don't know, 1/4 cup of cheese. And just fold that together And this is what really gives our risotto a beautiful creamy texture. And also, usually when you're out camping, you're burning up a lot of energy. So don't sweat the extra fat. You need it. We got a nice healthy amount of mushrooms in here as well. So we're going to get protein from the mushrooms, we're going to get energy from the arborio rice, and we're definitely going to get some healthy fats here from our organic butter. All right. That is looking delish. All right, so our risotto has fully absorbed all of its liquid. We are ready for dinner. So I'm going to pile up a nice bowl of this. That's about enough for a grown adult. And we're going to use a little bit of cheese for garnish on the one side. And we're going to garnish with some of our cut up carrot stems, some of our carrot tops, and some fresh thyme. There you go. Maitake risotto with nCamp gear. All right, let's see how we did. Oh, wow. Beautiful as the day is long. Thanks for cooking with us.